American Government Lesson 5, Separation of Powers. Our lesson objectives are: know and explain the concept of division of power, know and explain the concept of separation of power, know and explain the purpose behind division of power and separation of power, know and explain the system of law in the United States as related to statutes, court decisions, and rules and regulations. The problem of power of governments was a concern to the writers of the Constitution. They wanted to strike a balance between a government that could be respected by the people and a government that could or may abuse its power. In order to attain that balance, they divided the power between the states and the federal government. When they separated the power of the federal government among its three branches, legislative, judicial, executive, in this way it was determined that no part of the government could become too powerful. Division of power. A federal form of government must decide how power can be shared between the state and the federal or central government. The Constitution does this by enumerating the powers of Congress. Specific powers given to the central government are plainly and clearly stated, but the Constitution goes further by awarding Congress elastic power. In Article 1, Section 8, Clause 18. This elastic clause allows Congress the power to make all laws which shall be necessary and proper to carry out the duties of government. The Constitution also lists the powers that are denied to Congress. This is for the protection of the rights of the people. It also lists any specific powers that are denied to the states. As an example, states cannot declare war, enter into any treaties, coin or print money, or violate certain rights of the people. This division of the powers between the states and the central government is accomplished by listing the powers of the federal government, including the elastic power clause, listing the powers denied to the federal government, listing the powers denied to the state governments, reserving all other powers that are not given to the federal government or denied to the states for the states. This was made clear in the 10th Amendment in 1791. The powers reserved to the states are also known as residual powers because these powers reside within the states. These include control of education, marriage, divorce, and voting. Notwithstanding, the federal government may require that state education and voting laws apply equally to all citizens of a state. Certain powers are shared by states and the central government. These are known as concurrent powers and include the powers to make tax laws and collect taxes, borrow money, build roads, protect the health, safety, and welfare of the people. These powers are also known as police powers. Separation of power. The Constitution allows the federal government great power, and that power has expanded over the years. However, the Constitution ensures there is a separation of power among the three branches of the federal government. In general, the legislative branch makes the laws, the executive branch enforces the laws, and the judicial branch interprets the laws. It does not stop there. The Constitution provides for a system of checks and balances among the three branches. This system of checks and balances allows each branch to check the power of the other branches. This gives a balance of power among the branches of government so that one branch is not more powerful than the other. For example, Congress passes bills, but they must be approved by the president before they can become laws. The president has the power to disapprove or veto a bill. This is one way that the executive branch checks the legislative branch. The president appoints all federal judges, including the justices of the Supreme Court. This is one way the executive branch checks the judicial branch. This gives power to the executive branch, but Congress can override the veto of a president by a 2/3 majority vote. In such cases, the bill becomes a law without the approval of the president. This is one way the legislative branch checks the executive branch. Congress must pass tax bills to raise money, and must also pass bills giving money to the government for its spending needs. This is one way the legislative branch checks the executive branch. The Senate, a part of Congress, must approve the president's nomination of federal judges. This is one way the legislative branch checks the executive and judicial branches. Congress has the power to impeach and remove the president and federal judges for acts of wrongdoing. This is one way the legislative branch checks the executive and judicial branches. This gives power to the legislative branch, but the judicial branch has the power to rule on whether laws passed by Congress are constitutional. The Supreme Court may nullify laws it considers unconstitutional when those laws are involved in a case coming before the court. This is one way the judicial branch checks the legislative and executive branches. Once they are nominated by the president and approved by the Senate, all federal judges serve for life. This is one way the judicial branch checks the legislative and executive branch. The U.S. Constitution and the states' constitutions. The U.S. Constitution and the individual state constitutions provide the basis for statutes, court decisions, and other rules and regulations. This is a system of law that exists in the United States. Statutes. Statutes are laws that are enacted by Congress or by state and local legislators. Keep in mind that local statutes apply to local areas only. State statutes apply only to the states passing the statutes. Federal statutes apply to the entire nation. Federal statutes involve activities or commerce in 2 or more states. Federal statutes are supreme over local or state laws in matters involving the federal authority. Court decisions. Court decisions affect law by interpreting the meaning of laws that are passed by Congress. The federal courts may also determine whether a law is constitutional. Such actions by the courts must be a result of actual cases that come before the judges. Rules and regulations. The legislative and executive branches have endured a heavy workload over the years. This has led to the creation of a number of independent executives, agencies, and regulatory agencies or commissions. These are created by acts of Congress, and members are appointed by the president, with the Senate making final approval. The bills creating agencies and commissions gives them specific powers. The rules and regulations developed by agencies and commissions have the same effect as statutes. Though these agencies and commissions are independent in many ways, they may be influenced by the President and Congress. Some of these independent agencies are the Veterans Administration, the General Services Administration, the Office of Personnel Administration. Some of the independent regulatory commissions are the Interstate Commerce Commission, the Securities and Exchange Commission, the Nuclear Regulatory Commission. What next? Take the time to go back and review the lesson on your own. After your review, complete the lesson review for the lesson and submit for grading. Remember, your submission should follow all the rules for standard written English. All submissions must be written in your own words and sources used cited at the end. How to cite sources in APA format. When you reference a source within an APA-style paper, whether it is using a direct quote, repurposing an image, or simply referring to an idea or theory, you should insert an in-text citation, the author's surname, and the date of publication within parentheses straight after a direct quote. CitationMachine.net will assist you in creating citations.